Okay, so I put a poll up the other week about what you guys want to learn more about, and nutrition was the overwhelming winner, which I'm not surprised about at all. So let's start to unpack that. But before I do that, I kind of want to just do like an overall preface before we jump into the like nuts and bolts mechanics of it all, calories, macros, protein, etc. I really just want to talk about more of an overarching concept that I think is where a lot of people go wrong. So obviously we know nutrition is extremely important, and not getting the nutrition part right is where I think a lot of people fall off of their training altogether, because they do the training part, which they think is the hard part, and then they can't stick to the nutrition, so they don't see the results from the training, and then they just quit altogether. Very, very, very common. Before we dive into that sort of stuff, I kind of want to go down a road that you're probably not expecting to go down, but is very, very necessary, and I think is where the majority of people go wrong, and that's where they don't see results, and that is treating nutrition as an emotional experience and just being aware that it is a very emotional thing. And let me explain why that even matters in the first place. So think about it like this, right? Some things in life are very easy to understand logically, but very difficult to implement emotionally. So meaning it's very easy to know that if you eat a certain amount of food, you'll stay at the same weight. If you eat more, you'll increase your weight. If you eat less, you'll lose weight. However, we have so much emotion coming in because food connects us to people. Food is how we regulate our emotions. And food is how we like give ourselves a treat and all these sort of things, let off steam. So we have all these things tied into nutrition that we don't have tied into training. So that's really how I see nutrition, right? Is it can be a very simple thing to understand and to stick to, because you don't need to know every little cellular thing to know about food. You just need to know what foods to eat, what quantities to eat, how to time it, and there's really not much more to it, right? But that's the easy part. The difficult part is overcoming the rest, right? And also the difference with training and nutrition is training is just for a short window of time, a few times a week. And there's a lot less decisions to make around it, and there's a lot less emotion around it. All the emotion is, oh, I don't want to do this thing, but you do it anyway. Or, oh, this exercise is hard, but you do it anyway, and it's not the end of the world. Whereas nutrition is ongoing. And we all know, like, everyone's had an argument with someone before, and we know that we don't make very good logical decisions when we're in a heightened emotional state. And that is what food does to us. And I mean, all you got to do is look at how food's advertised to us for a start. It's just purely buying into people's emotional state. So we all know we've got people that are trying to use our emotions against us and get us to, oh no, but come, just have one drink, just have one of this, oh, it doesn't matter. But we also do that to ourselves all the time. And the way we do this is in the form of emotional regulation. And if you've never heard this term before, it essentially just means like, what are we doing to get our emotions from this frazzled, heightened state back to something that we feel more comfortable and familiar with? So for example, if something stressful happens throughout my day that I wasn't anticipating, then I'm looking for something that I can use to regulate my emotions. And unfortunately, most of these things are bad for most people. This is where we have alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, porn, etc. These are just ways we take ourselves from feeling an unfamiliar feeling to feeling a familiar feeling. And that is what our body is always craving, familiar. So the gist of what I'm trying to say is, before we get into everything else, it's important to just start thinking about your personal relationship with food and when you use food to regulate your emotions and what those triggers are. Like, say, for example, there's going to be certain people, there's going to be certain places and environments that you know are not helpful for your goal. Say, for example, if I'm trying to not drink for a few months, there's certain people that I just don't contact because I know that they're going to want to drink and it's going to do that to me. And I'm also not going to just go to the pub at 5 p.m. on a Friday, because you're just setting yourself up to fail. So I think if we just take this mentality and start to notice our own patterns, it just becomes something that's so much easier to manage, and then you can catch yourself in the moment, because that's all it is just moment to moment decision making. It's not like you ate one meal and then gained 10 kilos. It's an accumulation, and all we are is just an accumulation of everything that we've put into ourselves. So I'll let you guys just digest that and take that on as a concept if that's not something you already think of. And just start to think of all the times that you would have noticed this exact sort of thing happening in your own life. And if you can't notice it in your own life, you've definitely seen it in other people, because we're great at noticing other people's flaws and not our own. So I'm going to leave it there for this week, and then next week we'll go into more of the actionable steps that you can put straight into place and start seeing results. Happy days.